Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Random Questions from the Dead Matter live stream. That's right, I fooled you. It's not from their Discord, but from their live stream they just did on Twitch. Now, it wasn't from the actual Dead Matter team themselves, but they were so kindly hosted by Calgary Community Meetups to show off Dead Matter, ask some questions, and get some answers, and then show some gameplay live. And I took the opportunity to not only live stream it for your guys' enjoyment on my channel here, but I'm also going to be going through it and breaking the live stream down into a few different episodes or videos. And in this video, we are going to be looking at the Q&A segment of the live stream. So let's begin. How did you come up with the idea for Dead Matter? And Nick says the idea was conceived after he watched I Am Legend with Will Smith. And he watched that whenever he was about 14 or so, and he has sought to refine his game since then. And I do believe he said that it was more of a mod at a certain point, Armor 2 mod. I could be wrong, but after then, he just kept working on it, and we see where it is now, and it's really paid off. Dead Matter is large and complex. How has it changed the releasing of the game? And Nick does admit that they have had to change the release dates a few times, but because of those delays, the quality has increased, and I would certainly have to agree. And as the game has progressed and as the quality has increased, they have had to hire on more developers and artists and animators to further increase the quality, but it also takes more time because they have to teach them what they're all about, get them into the loop of what they're trying to create, and so it's just a pretty big time-consuming process. So yeah, delays do happen, but he did say that they are on track for the current release date, so that's good. How do you differentiate yourself from other survival games in a fairly crowded market? Nick said they are taking a different approach in terms of building the game itself. They are taking elements they like from different survival games and also putting an emphasis on PvP and building claiming instead of custom base building. Some things they want to do differently are the gunplay elements and also other immersion factors. This would include things like ambiance, lighting, zombie interactions, and player interactions, NPCs, voice acting, anything that will increase your immersion and draw you into the lore and the story of the game. That's what they're trying to focus on to do better. He said, and this is a fantastic quote, "I think we strive not to do something extremely unique, but we want to do something extremely well with the project," end quote. I think that speaks volumes for their vision, for their goal for this project. They're not trying to recreate the will necessarily, but they just really want to create something that is memorable, fluid, well-functioning, and playable for years. Why is it set in Alberta? And Nick tells the story of how his original idea for the game was to be located on an island in the British Columbia. However, one of the other developers who lived on an island in the BC actually had a road trip through Canada and happened to drive through Calgary. Now, this trip and viewing of Calgary and Alberta made that developer sold and inspired by this location for the game Dead Matter, and that is essentially why it's set in Alberta. How can you guys support the game? You can share all about it on social media, and you can back it on Indiegogo as well, link in the description below. What is your favorite part of the game? And Nick says his favorite part of the game is the vehicles. He says that he is very proud of the progress they made, making the vehicle system work not only in just a single player setting, but in a multiplayer setting for everybody. And this includes driving, collision, hopping on top of vehicles, and essentially making them interactable even while they're being driven. What is the map size? Now, the map has always been a hot topic issue in terms of Dead Matter because there's been variations and changing and increasings and decreasings in terms of sizes and amounts of the maps and things like that. And Nick didn't want to give any inaccurate information about it, so he simply said that he doesn't know at the moment the exact size of the map, but he did say that the map is on the small side right now. But he also shared that he will be hiring 3 level designers at the moment. And this is huge because it means massive increase in level design productivity, level of detail and functionality, and just an overall playability to the level itself. So the fact that he is going to this extent by hiring 3 different level designers means that this game is going to be looking and feeling and performing beautifully. What inspired the inventory system? And Nick said that he intended to take more inspiration from DayZ, but everyone keeps bringing up Escape from Tarkov as the more similar looking game in terms of inventory, so he admitted that he may have had a more unintentional inspiration from EFT than DayZ. Will you have the ability to create a team, or will you need to be solo and just travel around with people? And Nick said that they will be showing this team system, we'll call it, in the next devlog and is being worked on by Kyle. That is right, we can look forward to one more devlog at least before the closed alpha launches, and it will be glorious, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, that's actually something that we'll be showing in the next devlog.
Will your character stay in the world when you log off? This is a very good question, very important, and Nick says that as of right now, in the build that he was playing on, the character just vanishes. But they are working on making the character linger a bit in a sleep mode, so to speak, before disappearing. This will help punish players who might be tempted to combat log. Now, I'm not sure why they decided to have a more DayZ approach where players just kind of disappear after a certain time and not, say, a Rust mode where people just sleep indefinitely and their bodies are able to be killed and looted at a certain time if someone were to, say, raid them. But that's not for me to really worry about. That's them, it's their game, it's their design. If you don't like it, you know, suck it up, okay? Go have a muffin or something, you'll be fine. What types of quests or missions will there be, if any? In terms of closed alpha, Nick said that the primary quests that you'll be doing are fetch quests. Go X, retrieve Y, bring it back here, yada yada yada. And the point of this is it will give a little bit of background to the world, and it'll also allow the players to have progression. It will encourage them to not stay in one spot necessarily, but always trying to find more quests that will put them in more locations that they never would have gone to by themselves. And the questing, I know, will be more in depth the later the game gets into development. And forgive me for calling them quests, they're actually going to be called, I believe, missions or assignments, not something so fanciful. But the questing in terms of depth isn't a priority right now. They want to focus on surviving and PvP and gunplay. System requirements for the alpha release. Nick says that a SSD helps a lot with performance, and he recalled a time where they tested the game using a 4670K CPU and a GTX 1060, and he did recall that the game ran fairly well. He recommends just making sure you have a fairly recent GPU and a CPU that's multi-core, and that honestly, from what he was saying, the game doesn't seem to be that demanding at all whenever you think of a modern game. But that being said, it is still an indie game. It looks amazing, and honestly, for these system requirements, the fact that they have these moderate of requirements and yet looking so good, it's very impressive. Are there lots of attachments for weapons? And he said, yes, there are a lot of weapon attachments in the game, but it does simply depend on the weapon you have. The examples he gave was if you have a .22 rifle, there's simply not going to be a lot of attachments for that. Maybe different ammo, maybe an extendo mago, you know, maybe a scope of varying degrees, but it will not even compare to the amount of attachments you'll be able to put on like an AR style rifle. Can weapon attachments reduce recoil, and is recoil learnable or just all over the place? Nick said that the recoil follows a pattern, and also the attachments will influence the recoil of the weapon as well. But an even more important thing to notice, in my opinion, is that the game has perks and attributes in place that will affect the gunplay of your character, and I think this will primarily go into the occupation section you'll choose like police officer or you'll choose soldier, and having that as your past occupation will give you an increase in maybe weapon stability or recoil management or things like that. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Yes, weapon attachments will affect your recoil in gunplay, but also your prior occupation as well. And ladies and gentlemen, this was essentially the questions that were asked. There were a few more, but they were more personal to Nick, and I don't want to unnecessarily show more than he intended to a larger audience than perhaps he intended, just so it's just a respect thing. And what other questions do you guys have? Did this live stream answer a lot of your questions? What did you guys think of the gameplay? I will be making a video about that as well, breaking all of it down and my thoughts on how it looked and how I think it felt in terms of maybe lag or desync or visuals. Either way, guys, this is the end of the video. Thank you for standing by. And as always, if you like scares, survival, and scavenging, consider hitting that subscribe button, hitting that like button, share it with anybody you think would enjoy Dead Matter. And I will see you guys in the next one. Path out.